Hello, it's Rita and Scott again, doing a Cosmic Dialog. Um, Rita had this idea and I agreed. I thought it was just amazing. What happened and when, let's talk about when we started seeing things from our spirit eyes and spirit consciousness over and beyond instead of our earthly eyes and senses. When we saw everything as it was through spirit and what happened and what we experienced that time. Do you want to start, Rita? Or just give a little more background?
Yes. And I would like to speak from January of 2021, when we started to see from our spirit selves, see and feel from that greater vantage point than just what the physical world presents to us. Because there are more senses there for us to tap into. And it's much harder to lie, or it's much harder to convince ourselves to believe lies from our spirit eyes, because we are seeing the truth in more than one dimension. And when we really started to master that ability to be aware from our spirit selves, and occupy our physical bodies and operate on the earth in our physical selves, but the awareness being from the spirit realm. That shifted so much. And so what do you recall from just making that shift?
From making that shift for me, what I recall the most is that there was an interesting sense of clarity that came across to me that I hadn't had ever before. That I was not crazy. I was not just seeing what I wanted to see, but I was actually seeing things. I don't know, you see things more compassionately. It's as if like you recognize the energy of love around everything. That um, as a natural thing. There's an energy of love that is around and surrounding and a part of everything that's in your field of vision or perception or um, conscious knowing. You can't escape it. You can't ignore it. You can't just separate it out. Everything else, um, it always permeates you as well. So there isn't this separation that we would feel for things like a preference of like or dislike. That just, how can you start liking or disliking certain things as a preference for yourself when you undeniably see this coding or this inhabiting, this resonance of love and truth around everything you see that's also a part of you. So that was a shift for me, that I had to like see everything through a lens of a new kind of compassion.
I think it's important to also say that with that, we could see that love and that truth being pushed away and rejected,
Yeah.
even though it was there always, as you said, but the absolute denial of it in many places on earth.
Yeah, and it's almost like it was a little secret because it's so denied by humans in the world. You know, things were reduced. We could actually see how things were so reduced to like utility in most of the human race. Everything was through others' eyes in the physical 3D realm was through utility. How does this benefit me? Is this a tool I can use? Is this a thing that benefits me, improves me? Utility. When you yeah, so the utility just denies that totality to me, that total non-separateness of me and this other entity and this other thing that was created by an artistic creator of full proportion. So yeah, but also through seeing that, I did have compassion for the people who just saw things as utility. Because I was almost prevented from making a harsh judgment against that person.
Because we could see what created that need to see things as a utility, and seeing from that realm, you are able to see what has injured the person, and so that it does increase compassion. And we have to feel through whatever we see that another person has gone through, and not to feel it for them, but to feel whatever we feel about that self.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we could see all those little attachments that were still around their spirit body. We find that we could see that. We could see those blockages that were in their spirit body.
We could see spirits influencing them, less, darker spirits who want to influence without owning up, with secretly. They want to do it secretly, which was going on a lot.
Yeah, we could also see those things, little attachments on ourselves. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what this is about. So we started, there was a whole self-reflection of that too, so that, if we wanted to look at our physical bodies, we had to be prepared to like see what was spiritually attached to that.
Yeah.
Feel through those feelings and go through what perhaps needed to go through if we wanted to clear that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just easy that, I can see through spirit eyes, I'm going to detach this. No, it was just like we still had to feel that. It's like, oh wow, what happens if I detach? Yeah, I have this new sensory abilities, but still have to feel the feelings of detaching from the fictions I put upon my life, or the notions or attachment feelings or addictions or
Mm-hmm.
judgments that I've laid place even on myself. Some of which could shake the whole core of my 3D reality identity as a human.
Yeah, that's right. That's when we started getting practice at this, it had to change. Well, what are we here for? What's the purpose of even having a physical body? because we're experiencing beyond that. And look at the state that the earth is in. Why do we even want to be here?
Well, we've often said in this 3D world that we want to ascend to the space where our bodies are no longer necessary, and that we are beings of light and free from those restraints.
And yet even that is a denial of the love that's offered, because we are given these physical bodies on this beautiful earth not to just be this and then be that, not to just be physical and then be non-physical, and to ascend out of the physical, but to be all of it at once. So it got really, from the earthly understanding, it got really trippy there for a while.
Yeah. I really don't think the whole notions of the fictitious term of New Age folks we want to ascend. I'll just say that we'll box them in this category just for this example. I don't think those folks were prepared at all, nor was I, for the trippy, wow, I feel like we're meant to experience it all at once.
Yeah.
There was no escaping our 3D realm with all of its issues and all of its problems, just to quickly jump to light being and have it all just be happy. We've ascended. We can totally detach.
And somehow still have anger and judgment.
Because we've ascended.
Yes.
That was not the case.
No. No.
You come out of a womb and you cry.
Yeah.
You come out of a womb and you are destroyed emotionally until you're comforted, until you open your eyes, until you understand touch, until you understand I can open and close my hands, and that's the coolest thing. I mean, it's the same kind of feeling progress.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was for me.
Yeah.
This, whoa, I'm crying. I'm so upset. I miss that comfy 3D place. And now I'm thrust out here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it isn't all roses. I mean, finally I can start seeing love around things, but you do see that, but
there's a lot to learn. Yeah. But it can be as wondrous and fun as childhood.
yes.
And it is, once you really accept that it can be.
Yeah. It's play has a total new term. Art has a total new feeling to me. Humanity and our potential is so different for me now. It's not about ego and achievement and all that, but it is. It's like, well, now I feel like I can accept more of God's love. I can take in more because I can see more.
And release as I go. Release
Right.
what's not love.
Right. So I think there is a little breakthrough. I mean, I know that, and that is kind of like a key to like going through the tunnel, I think, is like, how much of God's love are you willing to take in despite all the judgment, all the all the feelings, all the trauma, all the addictions, all the other things of this three-dimensional world that seem to get twisted. In all of that, how much of God's love can you really start feeling? And you finally have to like say, nobody, even the best gurus and doctors and everybody on the planet are great, but they can't be God for giving me love.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to that point, then I think getting a little farther is a little easier. But
yeah, or for healing.
Or for healing.
Mm-hmm.
But then look out when you kind of like start seeing from that realm.
Woo!
It's a trip.
Yeah, there's a lot to have to come to terms with. All around us, within us, behaviors, stories that humanity lives by and insists are real. So there were some lonely moments, for sure, but you learn how to find your friends quite easily.
Yeah.
To the point where I have more friends now than before because I can see what I'm dealing with.
There's a more clarity and more ease for me to navigate the 3D world for the things that I'm longing for, looking for, or wanting to be in this whole progression of me as a human walking artistic form of God's love. It's easier to walk amongst it now. And there's that clarity, even if I'm like, know that, I hear a message from spirit or from wherever, from a psychic trance or a dream, and I understand that 100% to be true, it's so much easier to guide my life from that point than it was before. Well, number one, I don't have to. There's no desire to seek anyone else's approval.
Exactly. Right.
No desire at all. It's like, what does other people's approval have to do with this part of my life? And for me, understanding and seeking.
Yeah.
Why
would I need approval from the physical realm?
Right.
And those who are only in the physical realm.
That was like strapping a bowling ball to my ankle.
Yeah, the energy is so much different because we're not just slogging through the muck of everything that's just put there by humans for us to live in. We just see it now and walk on top of it as an analogy or metaphor. So the energy is so much different.
It is different. There's just no point in like, it feels silly.
Yeah.
It feels silly. Why would I want approval from anyone else? For my own guidance, for my own spirit, my own soul, sovereign soul.
Right.
Wow, Scott, you've been speaking to your sovereign soul for 50 years before you got it, and you finally are listening.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to go back and put a 5,000-pound boulder around my neck?
Right.
No.
And why would I accept anyone else's boulder?
No. Now, but with that, I do feel like that I've learned too that there's a huge amount of responsibility for sensing the spirit realm. You really do have to be self-responsible and not. You're corrected quickly if you get the slightest bit of ego trying to correct someone on the 3D realm or to show someone the 3D realm or teach them, oh, what if you did this, or pass any sort of judgment, because there's a correction that happens. Unless they ask and unless there's a real purity in there and a connection. because you realize you can really alter a person's trajectory if they are still indeed in that twisted 3D consciousness. And so even I even like you go to someone who is intuitive, who is psychic, it's like, are you ready to hear what I'm going to tell you? How will that impact you? How will you feel? Are you ready to feel the feelings of your whole fictitious life being swiped away? That's a real thing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's hard to explain how wonderful it is to someone who's really holding on to it.
Yeah.
So freeing. I mean, there's nothing to lose once you do that.
No, there isn't anything to lose. Um, but if folks are still incredibly resistant, well, it's not going to hurt me because I just see the truth, and I was asked, and so I told and I expressed it. But if you're still working to only see the tangible reality through this utility of three-dimensional living, and what I say puts a huge crack in that, and you just want to steal that crack up to make it make sense in your 3D world, it's going to cause even more trauma.
Yeah, either that or you'll spend all your energy keeping that crack filled as it spreads further and further.
Yeah. So there is a responsibility to sometimes just observe, love, um, discernment
Mm-hmm.
is a huge thing. It's light though. It's not heavy to me anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lighter way of doing things. Not wrenching myself. I'm quickly. I It's kind of quickly and easily. I know when it's time to like really share things with someone,
Mm-hmm.
when they're willing and when they come with an open heart and an open mind and an open space of love.
Right.
Because I see those things, I see the energies, or when I see that, okay, it looks like they've dealt with this little thing over here, and these other attachments seem to be away from them. Perhaps.
Yeah. The color of their energy flowing out has changed.
Yeah.
It's not as murky and dark and smelly as it was before.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
ready
Yeah.
for this piece, this little.
Got to clean the water before you can make it incredibly pure for drinking and palpable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And we had to do that for ourselves.
yeah. And we're continually still doing that for ourselves.
Yes.
We're not off the hook.
No, no. We get our little piece and we integrate it.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier to ask for assistance than to think that it's all on us to figure out. There is no figuring it out.
Right.
You become willing to experience it.
Oftentimes you have to just I'm astounded now how oftentimes I feel like when I'm navigating choices, I feel like now there are other ones available to me that are less active. That's
Less you doing physically less.
right. So it's normally in like the waking 3D world, we're like, well, if I make this choice and then I make this choice, and let's do our um, pros and cons, and let's battle that out in our crazy mind. that's already flawed and doesn't think and process everything. Well, now I can sort of say sometimes there are choices available to me that where it's like, oh, what if I just do a little pivot and step aside, take a few breaths for a while, and then just follow? What if I just follow longer and this whole situation might play its way out anyway? I mean, little situations like that, when you start seeing that, or you're like, what if I just work on myself through this issue right now, through this same thing that someone might have asked me about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Those, to me now, I see those, they're powerful types of choices that in that 3D craziness, we see them as passive, and those don't work. If you want to change something, you got to go get it. You've got to go do this. You've got to like throw yourself into everything to like be the catalyst.
Yeah, we're becoming very aware of how active witnessing is. To just witness a situation or a person in their predicament truthfully and with love and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
rather than doing anything about it.
And there's a huge understanding that happens when you realize that not only that we can be the observer for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that that was the piece that we might have been missing in that 3D realm. There's me in 3D, and then there is the observer me. We're missing that a lot in this 3D realm. Or that there is the observer me that goes through my 3D eyes.
Mm.
So,
And that's about becoming less attached to being this physical body because we've accepted a greater
yeah,
distance and reality.
yeah. All the things that we've like accepted as true. You know, many of those are true to an extent of someone on Earth's knowledge, but then we accept them as complete truth in 3D, and that puts a limit and a line on our understanding of total truth.
So this thing has been just sort of, I've been feeling this truth, and I think I understand it now as we've been talking. That as technology develops on Earth and we become aware of it and accept it that it's real on Earth, and the technologies that were happening at that time, 2-3 months ago in 2020, of talk of implantable chips in your brain and being able to like your brain becomes a computer, and so what you see goes into the computer, which means that you could also be hacked. Your own brain could be hacked. We sort of bypassed that and started to notice that everything that was being released to humanity as new technology already exists in the spirit realm. And so we just skipped the need to pay a corporation or allow corporations or governments access to our being. And so that was really like the manual for us. Okay, let's just do this on our own.
When we realize that our total consciousness is its own incredible technology anyway,
Yes.
that it's an incredible energy this consciousness that resides, even scientists in 3D realm are like saying, oh, perhaps it resides outside the body, this consciousness, or where dreams come from, or where our identity and soul. They're starting to wonder if it lies outside the body. And yes, so
that thing of, oh, we've discovered this new technology that we've already been using.
We've been using. We can see where our electrons and cells and photonic particles go to, and where they come back from, and where we can send them, and where they can come back from. We can send them to places full of love, full of healing. We can send them. We can send down other spheres and entities for us and for others that can heal. When those particles of science and 3D are really seeing how they disappear and they come back and we don't know where they are. Well, you're welcome.
And the wild thing is that, in a way, our physical bodies are just biological robots, which is what predatory folks were attempting to create us as for their own benefit. And now we know that we actually are that our bodies are that, and we have the controls to them.
Yeah. Oh, we have ultimate controls to that body. It's just that not stepping out of that realm, I mean, you are so subject to manipulation of hypnosis into eating what someone else wants you to eat, consuming the information and the programming that someone wants you to consume. And it goes from childhood to universities to media to psychokinetic activities, sports and whatnot. And so oh yeah, there's a program being loaded into those 3D bodies. And yeah, you are kind of like this robotic programmed carbon container. And the more they limit what consciousness is capable of, or they limit the belief, or they limit your total understanding, or the more they limit
connection to God.
Yeah, your connection to God. Shroud your eyes or shroud your ears with only this programming.
And certainly shroud your mouth and speaking.
Yeah. That is the very sad thing to feel through. But it is the ultimate, I feel it could be the ultimate victory for this human artistry that could just be released.
Yes.
For us to know that we ultimately have every bit of that technology just completely in reach for us.
And perhaps that is what helped you and I to understand that we had the ability to not be taken over for things that are so bad and so dark and nasty, and the intentions to be so awful that we couldn't deny it anymore.
Right. We were dabbling in it before a little bit.
Yeah.
We were dabbling in it, like you would recognize like marks on your body as things that would come up related to worth, and they would disappear. I was growing hair, and reversing my aging process. We
Mhm.
both seem to stay young. Um, we both were dabbling in that programming anyway. So
Mhm.
we had our hands just a little bit on those controls. So
Yeah.
that was pretty profound. But now that's the part that I'm still continuing to want to learn. It's like, okay, it's it's not just like about we've always talked about the artistry of being human. What about the mastery of that art?
Mhm.
Just mastering the art of consciousness.
Yes.
That may take 1,000 years, but we can master that, and
Might as well get started.
let's get started now.
Mhm.
Um, and then our 3D bodies could easily combat the cold of the day.
Yeah.
Um, Understand and filter through programming, brainwashing, um, attempted mind control, and
Yeah.
we lovingly yet harshly understand and put that aside.
Mhm. Right. And assist anybody who wanted it, but not to hang around and wait for
No,
everyone to want it.
no, we have a lot of work to do in this mastery.
Yes.
It is the work.
Yes.
So um, yeah, everyone also has so many tools, and when you get in the way of someone else exercising their own self responsibility, you are not helping. You know,
Right.
I we're here to do the work, to lift consciousness out. And if we were stumbled or tied to every 3D drama for our lives or other people's lives, we would not even take step one.
Mhm.
And it sounds to some in that other realm harsh. But this is the most loving thing to do,
Yeah.
is to do this amazing mastery work.
Right.
That's one thing. I mean, we're not even there yet, but we can see that through spirit eyes.
Hmm. We can see the potential of where we are going and want to go,
Yes.
and where it's possible. I mean, we can feel the potential of the things we can't even imagine.
Yeah.
We know there's more.
We know that we can have a hand in creating conscious and unconscious technology that doesn't exist yet, or it isn't exposed or uncovered,
Yeah, in the physical world.
unlocked. We've gotten key symbols
Mhm.
throughout all of this time.
Well,
Feels good to be there right now.
yes. And it felt good and feels good along the way, continuing to open those doors. Whether anyone walks through or not, the doors are open.
Right. We may create a shortcut for some folks. We may create a very long journey for someone, another person. But I do believe that, like, if I do believe that if we take those steps, just a few of us, the two of us, or one of us, that it opens the possibility for the next steps in the artful experiences of who we are, who we really are. We don't even know who we are.
Mm-mm.
We don't even know what we're capable of.
No. Haven't even scratched the surface.
No. But I
Well,
want to look there.
yeah. We've just spoken quite a lot into being.
I guess so. Ooh. Feels good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. That's probably enough for now.
Oh.